In our daily life, we have a lot of questions about our society, about life in general. And we can use various techniques in social research to answer those questions. We always wonder why some people become alcoholics while others stay sober. Why some fall in love and get married? Why some people get a divorce? And what causes precocious puberty? And what's the consequences of precocious puberty? How do schools and universities perpetuate inequality? And how does technology influence academic and social life in a university setting? How do gangs promote violence and gun use? And how does obesity impact children of age 5 to 12? Trust me, all the list of the questions we just mentioned, we can do it through various techniques in social research. For some of you who had SSC 570 research methods, I'm sure you know the difference between qualitative and quantitative research. Qualitative research would be in-depth interview, focus group, observations, ethnographic studies, and so on and so forth. Quantitative research would be data analysis, statistical analysis. And in this course, we are going to focus on using quantitative research methods like statistics to answer the questions we have about our social life. Social research is essentially a detective work. It provides a systematic and empirical way to explore the mysteries of our society. It provides a more structured, a more orderly, a more coherent, and a logical way to search answers or clues about why certain things, why certain phenomena happens. Statistical analysis, that's the gist of the course, is a type of quantitative methods and is also a type of social research. For those who had SSC 570 or any stats courses, research methods courses in your undergrad, maybe some of these things are not new to you. I'm sure you know what the data is. Data is anything that has something to do with our senses. Anything that we can see, we can hear, we can touch, we can feel, we can smell. And anything we see, hear, taste, touch, or smell, they become the facts and figures that we collect, analyze, and summarize. There are three main aspects of data: the content of data, the origin of data, and the form of data. When we say the content of data, we are essentially talking about what we think, what we feel, and we record those thoughts and feelings through verbal reports or written words. They become our data. Or sometimes a researcher simply go out of the streets to observe people and they record down those observations, observing people's behavior and recording those behaviors down. It becomes a data. And data can originate from two sources. The researcher can collect the data himself or herself by asking people, conducting surveys, designing questionnaires, asking people how they think about something, what they think, how they feel, what are they feeling, observing people's behavior, recording them down, saving them in a Word file, in an Excel file, and whatnot, and they eventually becomes a data set. Those are primary data, where when we talk about primary research, primary data, the researcher goes out to interact with his or her research subjects directly, asking them questions about what they think, how they feel, observing their behaviors, and recording all these things down. And sometimes when we do research, we don't directly go and ask people how they think, what they feel, or we don't directly observe people on the streets, because some data are already available through various websites, international organizational websites like UN, World Bank, WHO, Food and Agriculture Organization. They have existing statistics and data where we can use. So we don't have to go and ask questions to people. We can save that trouble. Or the census website. They provide lots of information, lots of data. We can just download those data and analyze them. Or we can just go to their websites and they have certain online analysis tools. We can just analyze those data right there. Those are secondary research or secondary data. When we talk about secondary research or secondary data, the researcher do not go out to the streets, to anywhere, to ask questions to people, to passersby, about what they think, how they feel, or to observe people's behavior. And the forms of the data can be words or numbers. We use words to describe the content of something or to describe a phenomenon. Words are more descriptive, and we use numbers to calculate, to analyze, to estimate, to summarize. Numbers often come in the forms of means, averages, medians, percentages. So as we can see from what's being described here, we know that data have a physical existence. Data is very different from theories or concepts. We cannot see or touch concepts or theories, but we can try to understand a concept or a theory through the data that's being made available to us. And in research sense, one person contributes to one piece of data. So when we combine all these data together, we have a data set. And sometimes, I'm sure for those of you who had stats in your undergrad or anywhere else, you have exposure to a data set. And sometimes, I'm sure you have noticed the values of some of these data points. They are either too small or too big. Those values are called outliers, where the values lie outside the range of what is typically expected for a given variable. We will talk about what we mean by variable in subsequent lectures, maybe in a few weeks. And sometimes those outliers, those extreme data points, they could be real. It's not an error. They could be real. Maybe somebody who is either too thin or too fat, too short or too tall. It's not the data entry error. Or people like Bill Gates. Wow. Extremely high income. And when Bill Gates or people like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, or the Facebook guy, when those people are included in the income data set, they are going to blow up some of the values, some of the statistics of that data set. We call data points like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, or the Facebook guy outliers, and they are real. Those folks are wealthy, they have high incomes. It's not a data entry error. But sometimes outliers can also be due to data entry errors. Like maybe when you misplace the decimal points, or you misplace a zero. You enter too many zeros or too few zeros. Data entry errors. And because of that, you get extreme points because you enter the data wrongly in your survey, in your data set. And what should we do with outliers? When we have extreme data points in our data set, what would you do? Some researchers discard them, and some replace them with the mean or median. And what we are going to do with outliers depends on the purpose of our study. Whether you want to replace them with some other more reasonable values or you want to throw them out right away. It depends on the purpose of your study. So, what we are going to do with outliers, extreme data points, depends on the assumptions we make and the educated guesses we make about the variable or the data point. As mentioned earlier, data is anything we can see, hear, smell, or touch. Data are essentially the traces of our physical or social world in the form of words or numbers. Unlike data, concepts are something that's abstract. We cannot see, hear, touch, or smell concepts. When conducting research, using either surveys, focus groups, interviews, experiments, or ethnographic studies, researchers see or hear something, and they convey what they see or hear in that instance using a particular concept. So, in other words, concepts give meaning to research findings. A concept is an idea or a mental image that exists in abstraction. A theory is more of a scientific credible principle, and a theory is developed to explain observed regularities or patterns in society. We can use a theory to explain how and why social factors affect our behaviors and attitudes. A theory seeks to specify how different elements of society are related, why these elements are related, and what effects they have on us.